New project. Beautiful, beautiful afternoon. I should be out in the sun, but you know what? Last couple of days I've been in here super busy. I lost 2 days last week because I had to go and MOT the car and I had to do a lot of work on my guitar, and I do all my auto mechanical work myself. And I changed the old back brake system and blah 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 blah, and a bit of a front suspension and blah blah blah. I got that done, so that put me a bit behind. So I have been absolutely on it yesterday and today, and this afternoon is no exception. It's getting around to be about 4 PM. and I have a refret to do, and this guitar is a little bit different. And I'll pick it up, and it's heavy. And don't look at the tremolo arm, because that tremolo arm is a bit of an abortion, and we're going to be swapping that out. So you're thinking, is that Fender? Is it a Fender? It's actually, no, it's not. It's a Squier, but it's not a regular Squier. It's the made in Japan Squier, and it needs a refret. And I was going to start it today, and I can't. And the reason I can't is I thought I had some Fender fret wire in stock, and I do have some Fender fret wire in stock, but I have modern Fender fret wire, and it's 2.6mm wide, and it's too wide for this, and it's a shame because it is Japanese fret wire. It's Hosco, and it would have been perfect, but it is too wide. So I'm going to go and order myself some new fret wire, and I want 18% nickel silver, so it's either going to be Hosco to keep the Japanese theme going, or I'll have to go for something like some Syntons, because I want 18% nickel silver. I want it to have the right curve of 0.5 to 0.53, so it's not too wide, the tang's not too wide, so it'll keep the neck straight rather than bow it. And I only want 2.3mm wide fret wire. The fret wire in there at the moment is round about, it's just over 2mm. I don't want to be taking 2mm fret wire out and pouring 2.6 in, it's too much. It's 2mm fret wire. So I'm going to go and replace it with 2.3mm. So not a lot I can do right now, which is a bit of a shame because I don't have a great deal in to work on. I do actually have a Telecaster in, and that needs a full fret level. I do have work this afternoon, but at the moment I can't do anything on this. I'm going to go and talk to the guy who bought it in. I'm going to let him know what I think, what fret wire ought to go in there. I'm going to go find the correct size. So nothing more I can do at the moment. To show the guitar again, it's a bit mucky. It's going to need a good clean. It will get my best attention. Nice Fender Japan tuners on there. I'd imagine they're made by Goto. I will show you the logo as close as I can without sticking the guitar out of the window. There you go. Fingerboard's in a bit of a state. I said I'm not touching the fingerboard, I'm leaving that as it is. It's playable, it's got grooves all the way down there. There's no way I'm sanding that down and filling them in, because it means respraying it, and I'm not respraying it. If it needs to be resprayed, it's going to be another 60-65 quid on top, because I have to take it over to Clive Eastwood at Beaver Guitars. So we'll see how we are. But anyway, I'm going to go and talk to the owner, see what happens. I'm sure he has already commissioned the work, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. He's going to agree with my recommendations. I will come back and give you an update as and when I have that information. A couple of things to show regarding this Squier Stratocaster made in Japan, and I didn't know what year it was, and I didn't check the serial number, but anyway, there's a head start if you want to have a look at the information there. Pause that, copy it, because it's not staying. But anyway, I remove the head start, I remove the neck from the guitar, and the guitar has a Fender shim in there. Fender renowned for putting shims in their neck pockets. They do it on a lot of their guitars, and there's a number on there, and I can't quite make it out, but it looks like 362508 maybe, I don't know. Pause again if you want to check it, because it ain't staying. But some good information on the neck itself, and there's a letter Z on there, and there's markings ST-357. I don't know what it means, but ST will be Strat, I am sure. 357 might be a year marking, but even better, there is in pencil under the lacquer here 7/2/85. There you go. So if you're doing that in English, it'd be the 7th of February 1985. You would likely think, if you're doing it the American way, it will be the 2nd of July 1985. Shame someone's knackered this edge here. That means they're going in at the truss rod at an angle that way. Shouldn't be doing that. I've not checked to see if the truss rod is working, so maybe I ought to check that right now before I go any further. Otherwise I could be wasting my time. Tightens a little, loosens a lot. There you go. So if we can get that neck straight, just move the body out of the way for a second. Let us get a not straight edge on there, just check that everything's working right. Right, we can get it straight because it's straight. Just give it a little time. So we can get a little bit of a relief's all gone there. That's fantastic. Right, that's fantastic. So the truss rod is working fine. Absolutely brilliant. It means I can now whoop these frets out. Now, the reason we are giving this a refret is, zoom in on that crap. Look at the indentations on these frets here. I don't want to get too close, but wow. See if we can. See if we can get that to make a noise, because these are all over the place. Yep, beautiful. So nice deep grooves in these. That's why we are giving it a refret, and they are worn all the way down, right up to here, or at least up to a 12th fret. No point leaving these and just refretting half of it. We're going to do the whole lot. These holes here, I could, if I wanted to, remove the frets and sand this all down, bring it down to the depth of these, probably 1/2 mil gouges there, but I'm going to leave it like that. Not going to spray it or anything. It's going to save him 55-65 quid. So I'm going to oik the frets out later. I'm hoping they are banged in from the top, not from the side, because it make it a lot easier. I'm also going to remove the nut. I will actually show you how I remove a nut shortly, because you can really mess a guitar neck up when you remove a nut if you don't do it right. So I may show that later. I may show it when the fret wire gets here. Fret wire is ordered. I've ordered some Syntoms. It's 2.3 millimeters wide by 1.4 millimeters high, so it's quite high. We can always bring the height down a little when I level them if we want to. I actually really like Syntom's 18% nickel silver fret wire. So, and it's the only 2.3 mil I could get. Couldn't get any Hosco, so we can't go. We're not keeping with the Japanese theme. But Syntom's fret wire is very good. So I will come back and give you an update when that has arrived. Right, I'm in a bit of limbo today because I'm waiting for parts to arrive, waiting for frets to arrive on this job, waiting for other bits to arrive on other jobs, and there's not really a lot I can do today. But what I have done is remove the frets. I've not cleaned it up yet because I want to explain something. A lot of my work is preparation, and a lot of the prep work I don't film it. I just do it off camera. And preparation, for instance, will be something like removing the frets. You can see I remove the frets, and there's all this horrible green gunk in there. And other things I do, like I'll remove the nut and clean up the nut slot area, which I've done, and that's beautiful. I've also recut the fret slots using a special fretting saw I have with a depth gauge. And like I say, a lot of the work you don't get to see. And what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to try and get rid of some of this crap here. This green, horrible, it's all dead skin there is, it's really horrible stuff. And I'm going to explain a couple of other things as well. And what I'll be doing is, obviously I'll be replacing the nut. You always replace the nut when you do a refret. And I have two options. And I have a genuine Fender blanks made out of a man-made substance called Cyclovac. And it's pre-radiused, like so. It's pre-radiused and it's a complete blank. And if they fit, I tend to go with one of them. But in this case, it doesn't fit. It's a bit too wide. So there's a big gap underneath. So what I also like to use is bone. And I buy pre-cut bone nuts. Not that being pre-cut helps me out, because it doesn't, because the nut slots aren't right anyway. They're not properly spaced. So I don't take any notice of where the slots are. But they are a nice piece of bone. And if they're too thick, which they normally are, you just get a piece of sandpaper on a flat desk and just sand them down a little bit. And 9 times out of 10 these things fit, and they're pre-radius to the right radius. And here you'll see one here, and it's too wide, so I'm going to have to obviously thin that out a bit. But the radius is there, and they're just a little bit wider than they ought to be. But the good thing about these is they're very high. So when I come to carving the slots, I'll file over them completely and make that a blank. And I'm about to use that, I'll be able to carve the slots myself. And there you go, that's going to be the gubbins here. So I'm going to go with a piece of bone, as you see, again, perfectly radiused. to match the fingerboard. Fantastic stuff. So I'm going to go with a nice piece of bone on there, so I can sling that back in the back. Sometimes as well with different thicknesses, so I may find one thin enough in here. So a quick look, oh, looks thin enough. So I sometimes just tell by eyeing it and having a look. And where are we? And no, it's not thin enough. It's still as thick as the other one. Just my eyes playing tricks. But that is going to be perfect for later on. I've got it stuck in the slot now. Brilliant. Oh, we'll get that off then. We will just prise it off like so. So that is what I will be doing. I'll be sanding down a bone nut, putting that on there. Now what do I clean this fingerboard with? I'm going to actually douse that in some white spirit on a rag. I've always got some white spirit knocking about. It's not going to cause any damage, it's not going to react with the lacquer or anything, it'll just evaporate anyway. It will get into the slots, but I'll be cleaning the slots out again also, so no big deal there. Just see how I get on with a bit of this stuff. I'll just get some on the rag. Always got plenty of rags knocking about. And we'll just get a little bit on a corner and see how we are. I do apologise for the police helicopter outside, it's been flying around for 2 days now. It wants to piss off. So anyway, let's see how we get on with this. And that works a treat. I've just done the first 3 or 4 frets and all that gunk is gone. Let me show you where I am there. Just done the first 1, 2, 3, 4. You look at the rest, they're all pretty cruddy. So I'm going to do the same with those. Make sure I've got right corner. And let's get this crud all off. And this is coming off alright. A bit more white spirit on there. And once this is done, I'm not re-radiusing this board or anything. It's staying as is, get the neck as straight as I can, and I'm ready to refret this. And everything, because it's a removable neck, I can get everything done in the fret press over there, the adapted arbor press with which I adapted to take fret calls, blah 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 blah. So there you go, that is clean. Now I've talked to the owner, well I've talked to the representative of the owner, and I've said look, a bit concerned about his divots, they're a little bit deep, but you can leave them, it's not going to, you know, you're still going to play it fine over. So no, leave them. Didn't want to pay the extra 55, 65 quid. For the lacquering, so it's not going to be lacquered, so I will be uber careful when I'm filing the edges because it's not paid for it to be lacquered, so I don't want to be digging into that. I will basically, once I've got the frets in, cut and beveled, I will hand file these edges so I don't cut into the lacquer. And it's a little bit more long-winded, but you know, I don't mind doing it. It just makes the job look a lot more professional. This guitar in itself is in a pretty, not a great state to be honest with you. There's all green gunk over all the tuners and everything, and the body and all the electrics and everything are really crudded up. I personally like to keep my own guitars in absolute tip-top condition. Any sign of rust, gunk, shit, crud or whatever, it's gone matey. I remove it with fire, godly fire, and that's the way I am. But each to their own. All I can do is deal with what's in front of me, and I will make this, I'll give it a supreme refret. I will clean up all of the hardware. I will strip the body, because it's going to have, when I do a fret job, that also includes the price of cutting the nut, fitting the nut, and a complete setup. Now with a complete setup with me, you get a strip and rebuild from the bottom up. Don't replace anything. Anything needs replacing, the client pays for it, but anything else I do the work. The work is included in the price. I'm quite happy with my refret prices. Something like this is going to cost you, it's going to be 175 quid for a refret on one of these because it's got a lacquered top, blah blah blah. We have to be a bit more careful getting the frets out. There's a bit more prep work to do when we get the new frets in, and there's the extra time we have to spend hand filing these edges. So I would say with a new nut and a set of strings and the fret wire included, you're looking round about £200 for a fret job on a lacquered fingerboard like this. There's a good few hours work in here and a lot of prep that doesn't really you don't really get to know of. So that's it. This is now ready for new frets, and I don't have any frets. To specially order some 2.3mm wide frets with a 0.5 tang. I could have, or a kerf. Maybe I could have gone a little bit wider because fenders tend to take up to 0.6mm, but I didn't want to go too wide because I've had problems in the past, especially with Gibson type guitars where it's actually warped my neck a little bit. So the fret wire should be here tomorrow. I will radius that and hopefully we'll be able to get it in. I'm going to glue it in using, I'm not gluing it in as such. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the slots, and I'm going to use just Type 1 original. And it is not to glue the frets in, but what it is to do is to fill in the gaps between the fret and the slots and just fill those areas in so they don't sound hollow or anything. It's something I've been doing now for quite a while when I do it on all my refrets now. Rather than glue, because I don't really think you need to glue frets in because the tang holds them in anyway. But it's nice just to have that gap filled. Got some nice slots in there. I cut with my fret slotting saw, which I might as well show you. I've got it out. There it is. Bought this with the whole kit. I bought this from Clive Eastwood over at BB Guitars, and it has a depth slot there, and these are specially made. I forget what blades they are now, but they're a big brand. I can't remember the name, but these are a exactly 0.5 millimeter cut or kerf. They cut to exactly 0.5 millimeter, which is perfect for cutting fret slots. So that's it. This is all ready for a knot, ready for frets. I've just got to wait for the gubbins to arrive and I can crack on with the job, so check back later. Welcome back. I do apologise for the light, it's a little bit dreary today, and I'm not putting big light on because it turns everything orange. But regarding this neck, blah 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 blah, all cleaned up, ready for new frets. Fret wire arrived this morning. There you go. And it's Sintom's 2.3mm by 1 wide by 1.4 high. I've not measured the tang width yet, and there it is. 14 quid delivered, not a bad price. The tang width fits in the slots absolutely fine. Nice little tight fit in there, but not too tight. But I did not measure the tang width of the old stuff, so I'm going to do that right now while I've got the calipers to hand. And I'm just going to basically see what we've got. And anything around about 0.5 millimeters will be acceptable and pleasing to thine eye and ear. And that is saying 0.55, 0.54, so we'll take that as being a 0.53 tang width. So let's measure this one. This might be a tiny bit narrower. It could be the same. And what's this saying? 0.55. So again, 0.53. That's absolutely fantastic. So we've got the same tang width on this stuff. I will radius it shortly. How I will do that is I will take my radiusing tool, feed it through and bend it, and I'll bend it to about probably something like an 8-inch radius, a little bit tighter than it needs to be. So that should go pretty well. What else have I got to tell you? There's something else on my mind I had to tell you. Can't remember, can't be important. The nut slot, I've filed the nut slot, I removed the nut. I was meant to show you how to remove the nut, but I just went away and did it, and it came out really, really easily. And how I personally do it is I will place the guitar in a vise, like so, with some padding to stop me damaging any of the wood. I'll place it in a vise, and what I normally do is do it that way, away from me, and I take a small screwdriver and I just tap it out, see if it will move. What I do before doing that is I score each edge with a Stanley knife just to break that seal between the lacquer and the nut itself, and then I'll just gently tap this area with a nice thin screwdriver, making sure not to go into the wood, so I tap just the nut itself. Sometimes I go with the blade that way and go right on the corner and try and knock it out, and this actually came out really, really easily. Didn't leave any residue inside in the trough. I was also able, I've got a 3mm wide square file that fits right in the gap, so I was able to also clean it out beautifully. and I have a nut that fits that slot perfectly. I've tried it for fit, and it's absolutely beautiful. So that will be going in once I've got the frets in. So what remains to be done now is I'm going to radius fret wire like so. I shall cut the fret wire to length, and I shall place each fret in here. Numbered fret slot holder, just a piece of 2x4 wood, all numbered up for each individual fret. So I'm going to crack on with that, and hopefully I'll get the frets in today. So I've started re-radiusing the fret wire, and I realised after I'd done one bit, I checked the radius, it didn't seem quite right. So I realised that the radius on this is 7¼ inches. So I have set my fret bending tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one live. So here you go. So basically this is how we do it. We take a piece of fret wire. Once I've adjusted this, tightened up, got it to where I need it to be, you need a couple of trial runs here and there, but all you do is you feed in the fret wire, and that's it. Once fed in, you just blah 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 blah, and you pull it through like so. And I like to go again from the opposite end to what you've just did. So push it in, blah blah blah, pull it through, and there is your fret wire bent. You can also straighten it if you need to, run it in reverse, run it a separate way. But we now see that the fret wire is slightly more radius than I need it to be, and that's fantastic, because when I come to press it in, the edges will go in first, and then it'll push the middle down. It'll give us a nice tight fit to the radius. I have 5 pieces done. I would imagine I will have enough on there to do the whole fingerboard. I will get down this end, I'll use 2 strips for the first 10, and that'll leave me needing, I don't remember, 14, 16, 18, 14, 16, 17, 18, it was 21. So I will need another 9 frets, which I should easily get out of another 3 pieces. Hang on a minute, 10, 21, you'll need another 11 pieces, and that'll be fine. I'll get 11 pieces out of 3 strips easily. So we have a little bit left over. Can always add that to another job later on. So I'm going to get the fret wire cut, get it all positioned, and we'll crack on. So I'm just coming up to the end of taping up the fingerboard, and what I do is I tape up the fingerboard according to the width of the frets going in, which is this little tool I made here. It's exactly the same width as the frets going in, but I filed off all the barbs. So it's just a smooth tang, and it just sits in the fret slot like so, and I'm able to tape up the fingerboard and just leaving enough bare wood to the exact width of the new fret going in, and it means we won't get any glue on the fingerboard when I glue them in. We'll just get glue on the areas of wood that the fret is going or needs to be, so we're not going to get any spillage anywhere. And it also means with the tape being there, when we peel the tape off, we'll peel off also the excess glue, which will be on the tape, not on the wood. So how good's that? So here you go, I'm just got a couple more to do. I'm going to stick the last one in now, then I'll show you the fingerboard as it is, ready to be refretted. I made these tools up about a year ago, and I have various widths depending on which fret wire I'm using, and here we are, and that is now all done. One more piece. And the fingerboard is now all taped up, but with gaps for each fret. So the glue will go where the fret goes and not where the fret doesn't go. Keeps the job nice and tidy, and it's an easy clean up afterwards. Well guys, I was just going to refret this guitar now, but I've decided the lighting here is not good enough, and it's not even, it's about 6:30 PM. It's late August, or just past the middle of August, and there's no point, but I will just explain how I go about refretting why I am here. And I have an arbor press converted into a fret press, and I have a fret coil holder there, and I have a 7¼ inch coil fitted in there. And this is adjustable. I can alter this up and down, left and right, I can turn it around, and that's how I work the mechanism. And what I do basically is I'll glue my fret slot. When I've got it glued, I'll pop the fret in there, and as I get I'll get it lined up, and I will just come and press in the fret like so, or almost like so. I'll obviously make sure I've got it all lined up perfectly correct. Blah 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 blah, and that is how I do a refret. Much easier to do on a removable neck like this, for instance. But I'm not going to do it tonight. I will get the frets in tonight. I'll do half now and half tomorrow. I'll get the 11 in this side, and I will then clamp them up using a 7¼ inch radius block aluminium, and I'll use this as a fret, well, not as a fret press, but as a clamp. And I'll clamp the first half of the frets, ready to do the rest in the morning. And it means I don't have to do them in the morning, then wait a couple of hours for the glue to dry, and then come and do them again. I can get half done tonight, half done in the morning, and then I can crack on with the levelling late tomorrow morning, or a little bit later tomorrow morning. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to film anymore. The light is not good enough, so just take my word for it. I'm going to get these done tonight, and I'll come back and show you how we got on in the morning. Right, friends, I'm installing frets, and I've got most of them done, and I'm on the second half. I've got 6 more to put in. I'll put them in pairs, and I'm not going to explain too much. I'm just going to really crack on with it, and you'll see I've got the neck all taped up. I've got the frets all cut and radius ready to go, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to get some Type Bond and just fill the slots with Type Bond. Don't need a stupid amount, but you know, you want to be a little bit liberal. You can always, it's not difficult to clean up. And all I'm doing is just filling the slots with a little bit more. There you go, job done. Clean your little spatula, just a small spatula you get with regular epoxy. I've had this one for years. I take frets, pre-cut frets. It's a lot easier this end than it is this end, because you can just put it in a cradle, which I've got for holding a neck. Place the frets where they need to be. And I like to get this done pretty quick, because I want to get a clamp on there as early as possible. So, check where we are. I have my arbor press with a caul in there, 7¼ caul. And it's just a matter of try and get out of the way, pressing them in, going really easily, just get them lined up, press them in, and then I turn around and go the other way. It really is this simple. This is the easy part of getting the frets in. And that's it. They're in. Wipe up, just get any glue off the frets. Beautiful. Wipe underneath, and I'm going to move on quickly to the next 2. I'm going to crack on, get them all done, then I'm going to get the radius block clamped on there to hold them all in. And here we are, and it's all clamped up. I've just done my final 10 frets this end. Did 12 our end, or however many there was, 11 or 12 and 10 this end. Clamped up now, ready to go. I'll leave that a couple of hours, let those frets get bedded in, and then we can look at getting them all shaped and levelled. I'll stand it there, it'll be absolutely fine, it's not going to go anywhere. It's all good. Welcome back, and you will notice straight away there's something different about me. Now I had my hair cut. There you go. Plainly obvious, so you don't need to talk about it anymore, is there? Right, where are we on this neck? Well, I'm just about finishing off levelling the frets. I've got them all covered in black marker. I have beveled the frets, beveled the edges, just about got them completely level. I'm just going to finish off with the, I'll find it, my levelling beam, which is over here. Been across with 240. Got them all level, just going to finish off with a 400 grit side, nice and fresh there. Just going to take a few strokes, get rid of all that. And once that's done, I can move on to, I'm not actually doing it while I work, why I talk, I can move on to recrowning the frets, which you all know what that entails. I mentioned it many times before. Bit of work on these because I had one high fret. Just check that. I'm really quite happy with that. So that is it. I'm now going to move on to recrowning. I'll show some of those being recrowned shortly. So make sure you come back for that. Right, this is not an ideal camera angle, but it's a decent camera angle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I crown frets. And I'm assuming you know the difference between crowned frets and uncrowned frets. And uncrowned frets are like this with flat on the top. Wallop, just like that. And I need to get the crown back in, or that curve along this length. So I use various files to do this. Normally I would just use this 3-edge file. It's got 3 edges, it's quite coarse, and it's got ground edges there so we don't cut in to the fingerboard. Now I have 2 of these. I have one equilateral, like so, one not equilateral. This is a finer cut. I don't use this one that much, but I'm using it today because the frets are quite wide and low because I took quite a lot of height off them. And then I'll finish off with a file with a curve in there just to round them off. And I'm not going to explain too much because I've explained it many times before, but what I'm going to do is, when I've got the black line across the top of the flat part of a fret, I'm going to remove edges like so. And all I'm going to do is, as I come over, I'm going to roll over, roll over, roll over until we build up that arc. And then I'll go to the other side and I'll do the same. And I'll come over and I'll start to build the arc and I'll roll the opposite direction. So let's see how we go. And I'm looking to get a thin line down the centre. Always cleaning the file. Go to the other side. Just gently rolling as I do it. And you'll see I'm now beginning to build that dome on the fret, and we're getting a thin line down the centre. Now I'm going to move on to the next file, which is a finer cut, and we're looking to get a thin line just down the centre there. I can do it nice and long strokes like this, or I can just go backwards and forwards. Makes no difference, depends how I feel. Rolling in just a little. Over to the other side. Rolling in slightly. And that is beautiful. We have now a thin line right down the centre of a whole fret. It means where it was flat, I've now put that crown in there. I'm going to finish off with this just to make it nice and even and to remove any burrs. Always cleaning your files. And there you go, that is that one done. I'm now going to check the level, and it's still level with those around it, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to do another one. I'm not going to talk, I'm just going to do it. I've got these 4 done now, so I've got obviously 21 minus 4, 17. I've got 17 more to do. I've already done the far end one, so I've got 16 left to do. So I'm going to move on. We'll talk a little bit less now, just show you rather than explain. Another part of the process I've not explained yet is removing the burrs off the edges where the bevels are. I will show you that in a second. I will use my Swiss number 4 cut file, a very, very fine cut. Get this crown done first, and then I'll show you how I go on with that, and it means I don't have to show you later. That is beautiful. Nice thin line again, right down the centre. Clean the file. Deburr. Check for level. Absolutely beautiful. And you see, if we leave that nice thin line down the centre, the level is always going to be bang on with the next one because we've not removed anything. We're not removing any height, we're just reshaping the fret itself. Now then, let me explain about the bevels here. These are still a little bit jagged, so what I'll do is I'll take my number 4 Swiss file by Valorbe, that's the brand name. It's a number 4 cut, and all I'll do is on the edge of these I've got a safe edge, which I put the safe edge down, and I'm going to roll over and straight down the centre, and that has deburred the edge of this bevel. Absolutely beautiful. And that's it. I'll do that on the next 4, and I'll do it on this side when I turn the guitar around in a bit. So that's it. I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get the rest of them all crowned. Once that's done, I'll deburr these bevel edges there. Once that's done, I'm going to remove the tape, I think, and I'm going to check that we've got nothing sticking out. If we have got anything sticking out, I'll sort that out in a bit. But once that's all done, we will be ready to move on to the polishing stage. So we are now just about ready for polishing, and I'll show you the frets as they are. I have just crowned them, so they're now where they were flat, where I levelled them, now I've got crown back in them. So now I need to get them on the other table, get them all off to a high polish. I'm not going to film that, I've filmed it many times before. I'll be going through with 5 different grits of polish, sandpaper, grits, maybe 6, it depends what I've got in the drawer down there. I think I've got 6 grits, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000 and 2500. That's the 6 grits I'll use. I'll finish off with finest grade steel wool. While I'm doing that, I'll also be buffing the edges, so we get rid of all the burrs on the edge of the frets where the beveling is. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove this from a piece of MDF. I'm going to remove all the tape, because I've not removed the tape since I glued the frets in. That was just to keep the glue from going onto the fingerboard, and I'm going to re-tape everything ready for polishing. That will give me an idea, and it'll show me if the frets are sticking out, and if they are, I shall hand file them back to right to the edge of the neck without removing the lacquer. So I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll be back later. So we are now at a bit of an in-between stage. I've just peeled off all the tape from here. I've just left this little bit just toward the end, just to show some of the, not so much pitfalls, but some of the problems we can have. Because I've glued the frets in, some of this tape might be not quite under the frets, but it might be very close to the fret, and we might struggle getting it all off in one go. Well, those 2 bits went brilliant. But that bit there, you see there, has got some residue stuck on there. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to show you how I do that. And what I normally do is I very carefully take a sally blade, and all I'm going to do is, first I'll peel this side off, see how we do. We might get it off in one more go this side. If not, we'll take a razor blade under there without digging into the lacquer. We've got that piece off, look, that's good. Just got this piece here, and we might get it without, we'll just grab a bit there. There you go, and it's peeling straight off, right up at the side there. And that's good, so we've had no problems with those few bits there. Some little bits at the edge. Now, because this was taped up, the frets are slightly sticking over the edge. That is not a problem, because I'm going to take a file, and by hand I'm going to file the top of this. I'll go and stick it in a vise over there. I'll take my number 4 Swiss file, and I will just very carefully by hand remove the excess on the edges. You heard it working there, that's pretty much where it needs to be anyway, but I will go and do that very carefully on the vise and by hand. I don't want to dig into the lacquer, but saying that, there is lacquer, there's chipping all over here. The owner opted not to pay the extra for a complete re-lacquer, which he could have really had the option. And if he'd have done that, I would have re-radiused the fingerboard as well. But he chose not to go that route, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do what I've just said I'm going to do. Get these edges done and get it the best I can. Now, saying that, there's a lot of lacquer wear anyway on these edges. Where the top of the neck rolls over onto the fingerboard, there is where, oh, there, I'll show you, it'll be easy to show you there, where is no lacquer anyway, so it's no great shakes. So if I go into the lacquer just a little bit, it's not that bad, but we can always sand it and buff it back up anyway, which is what I am going to do. So I'm going to crack on with that, then I'm going to get it all taped up again and I can move on to the polishing. I'm going to attempt to show how I get rid of all these edges sticking out. Now there are no edges sticking out because I've actually done it, but what I'll do is I'll take my flat number 4 cut file, Swiss file, give it white, make sure it's clean, and I'll basically take the flat side of the blade, just this end here, and I will come adjacent or level with the neck, and I'll just roll off just slightly, and then I'll just come across the whole length of the neck, just on this 3" blade at the end here, the flat bit. And you'll see there's nothing catching there, so then I'll just come at an angle to make sure the bevels are all even. And that's it, and that is really that simple. All done by hand, nothing sticking out, absolutely. So we can put the wrist across there, absolutely beautiful. Then I'll take a bead of lemon oil and I'll just rub it across the end, and that's it, and we'll just rub it in. I've not even cut into the lacquer, but that would just put any shine that we lost on the lacquer anyway if we did go into it. So that's that side done. I've already done the other side, and what I'm going to do now is check this side again. Still a bit rough here, so I'm going to put this one back in. I'm going to do this side again just to check it, just to make sure. So pretty much the same angle on my camera. Pretty good there. Just going to check it again. Little tiny bit rough. A little bit of oil won't hurt it. Again, clean the file. And now we'll just go basically flat, just arc over, just take it away from the lacquer. And there you go. And we're not cutting anything there, so there's nothing sticking out, it was just me being extra picky. So again, absolutely beautiful. Again, the wrist check. I've not cut my wrist. There you go. How's that? So we're all laughing there. So that's it now. It's just a matter now of, I'm going to clean the neck. I'm going to soak it in a bit of white spirit or a bit of oil just to get all the gunk off from his areas. Then I'm going to tape up again and I'm going to get ready to polish the frets. So come back for that. Right, the light's not brilliant here now, but I'm not working now anyway. I've just set up my fret polishing station. You'll see that the neck is in the vise, it's cushioned at each side so it doesn't mark it and it will not move. I have got 6 different grits of sandpaper cut up, ready to polish the frets. I'll go through various grits from 800 right through to 2500. So you've got 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000 and 2500. I'll go through all the grits, I'll go over the sides, and I'll also go this way over the edges just to smooth off these bevels on the edge there. That's something I'm going to do in the morning because I've had enough for today. It's just, I don't know what time it is, but it's just getting a bit dusky now. So I think I've had enough for today, so that will be it. So in the morning I'm going to crack on with this. I'm probably not going to show it, well, I'm certainly not going to show it all. I may show a little bit, or I may just come and show you the results. Right, we'll now move on to cutting the nut. And the nut was glued in quite a while ago. It's a nut blank. They are grooved. What I do is I file the grooves off, and what I do is I hand file it down to a, what I think is more or less a close-ish kind of height. I do apologise for the white paper stuck underneath. It makes it a bit more hard to see, but what I do with that is I catch the bone dust and I save the bone dust. If I ever need to fill in slots later on, I fill them in with super glue and bone dust again. If I make a mistake or cut a slot too deep, I've got material to actually use to fix that problem. Just bear with me a second. What I've got over here. Right, no worries about that. So what I do is I take a finish cut 3-sided file, and what I do is I just roughly shape the nut like so, and I'm going to angle it slightly back toward the headstock just for the break angle of the strings, not too much, not to go mental. I'm going to give it a rough shape, a bit higher than it needs to be, and what I'm going to do is, in a minute, I'm not going to do any sanding or anything yet. I'm going to take a nut slotting rule and I'm going to mark out where the strings are going to go. That is low enough. I'm not going to round the edges off yet or anything. I will round these edges off later, just like so, blah blah blah. I'm not going to do it now. That nut is about as low as I need to go now without slots in there. This one's a little bit high still here, this side. But that looks pretty close to where it needs to be. Remove all the dust. I've got a nice pile of bone dust here. So I'll take a nut slot or a string spacing rule, which is this gubbins, and I'll be looking to go round about 35 or 36. So I'll be looking somewhere around that kind, from that red mark there to that red mark there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots. That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to mark that all off with pencil, and I'm going to cut the slots. I will come back and show you the progress later. And here we are, and here's the Strat all done. Japanese, made in Japan, Squier Stratocaster. Came in for a refret. It has had a refret. There are the new frets. Vintage spec fret wire, 18% nickel silver, all levelled and crowned, looks beautiful. Didn't want a respray of the lacquer, so I've left all that mojo in there. That saved him a few quid. A couple of other things it needed. There was no switch tip on there. I found one in my pass drawer, so I've stuck one on there. I also thought I had a spare tremolo, but I didn't, so I've not been able to put a tremolo arm on there. Brand new nut, just cut by hand this morning. Now cut these nut slots a tiny bit deeper than I normally would, and the action above the first fret is more or less 0.2 millimeters, a fifth of a millimeter. I would normally aim for 0.3, so that is a little bit lower than I would like, but we have no fret buzz. So that is it, it's all fine. I mean, let's get a little bit of ring there on an E. It appears, but there you go, no fret buzz anywhere. This one's actually a bit higher, this is about 0.3. So ideally, those nut slots are a little bit low, but like I say, no buzz, no ringing, no sitar-like noises, so I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to let the owner, when he comes and picks this up, decide. And if he wants that action a little bit higher on that nut, I will put a brand new nut on there. The reason I'm reluctant to remove it is, it's hand cut by me, I have epoxied that in, and it's coming today, you see, and if I was taking that out, it's not much difficult to take out, it's not super easy. I need more than 2 hours to get a new one cut and a new one put in. I normally like about 3 hours to do a job like that, and it's on its way. So I thought I'll leave it in, and if he's not happy with it when he gets here, I will keep the guitar overnight. I'll put a new nut on tomorrow morning, and I'll drop it over to him tomorrow afternoon, but I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. Great player. I've cleaned it up a bit, checked the electrics and everything, they're all fine. We've got no crackling on the pots. So that is it, it's another one done. Very, is it unique? I wouldn't say, I don't know about unique, but very, very strange. It's even got Fender Japan tuners on the back there. So, an actual Squier made in Japan. What a great piece of kit. So there you go, all done. So I'm now ready to move on to another project. So, as always, boys and girls, be good to each other, and I will speak to you soon.